Hi, I'm Pattu from freefincal. So the last time I talked about preparing for retirement or how to plan for retirement with a limited corpus, I made a dreadful mistake in that video, and I would like to remove that video and replace it with this one um, about taking risk. When I was talking about taking risk after retirement, I made a dreadful mistake. Many people pointed it out to me, and I would like to correct that mistake with this video. It's an atrocious mistake, and I feel very ashamed for it, and I apologize. Um, there's no way I can set that right except maybe in a small extent by talking properly this time. So this video is primarily meant for those who are going to retire very shortly, but it is also important for people who are young and they must understand the kind of risk that they can take after retirement. It's very important to start appreciating it right away. So the question I get asked is, can I take some risk after retirement? Now, uh, the usual withdrawal rate formula, as many people will know, is defined as the annual expenses divided by the lump sum in hand expressed as a percentage. For those who get a pension, I would like to modify this in the following way. The withdrawal rate will be the numerator will have annual expenses minus annual pension divided by the lump sum in hand upon retirement in the denominator and into 100. So it gets expressed as a percentage. So as an example, if your annual expenses at the time of retirement is 6 lakhs, your annual pension at the time of retirement is 4 lakhs, the lump sum in hand at the time of retirement is 30 lakhs, then the withdrawal rate will be 6 minus 4, which is 2 divided by 30 is 6.6 percentage. Now, the question one can ask is, what if the annual pension is greater than the expenses? If the annual pension is greater than the expenses, that means the withdrawal rate is zero, which means you don't need to withdraw anything from your corpus. A withdrawal rate cannot be negative. So if the numerator is negative, that it just means that the withdrawal rate is zero technically, and which means you are not going to withdraw anything from your corpus. However, it is important for you to project the cash flow in case your pension is greater than your expenses. It is important for you to project the cash flow into the future and ask yourself when you will have to start withdrawing, and is that enough for your withdraw, do you have enough for withdrawing, and etc. and so on, considering inflation. So now I would like to propose some thumb rules about taking risk after retirement. And these are thumb rules based on my experience. And there are many people who will disagree with these thumb rules and accuse me of being conservative. Some people will accuse me of being ultra conservative and so on. But in my opinion, this is right, because I would like to err on the side of caution, because retirement is a one-time process. It is like building a dam or building a bridge. When you build a dam or build a bridge, you ask yourself, what is the biggest earthquake that has occurred in the region? Let's say it is 6.5 or 7 in the Richter scale. Then you build something that can withstand up to 8.5 or 9, because you don't say on average most of the earthquakes have been only below 8, and only 1 or 2 earthquakes have been above 8, and therefore I will build a dam or I will build a bridge which can withstand 7.5 on average. That is just silly thinking, because even the average does not matter, the probability does not matter. What matters is that one event, which if it occurs, however low probability it has, if that one event occurs in your lifetime, or when you're crossing that bridge or standing on the dam, on top of the dam, then you know it's end game. So that's how you plan for retirement. You plan, and you plan for the worst. Of course, you hope for the best, but you must plan for the worst. But in order to plan for the worst, you must start planning early. If you don't plan early, then you will have to compromise on planning for the worst. So now these are my thumb rules. You don't need to follow them. Many people will disagree, but this is what I would like to do. If the withdrawal rate is less than or equal to 3.5%, the retiree can take some risks, not a lot of risks, some risks. If the withdrawal rate is above 4.5%, we recommend the retiree not take any risks and better to rely on pension, either the employer pension or they can buy a pension plan themselves. if the withdrawal rate is in between 3.5% and 4.5%, then it's a bit of a gray area, and it's not very clear, whether they can take risks or not. It has to be assessed case by case. Even then, mistakes are quite possible. So it's a very difficult problem. William Sharp, the Nobel laureate, has said that with retirement is the most difficult problem to handle. So I would like to, take that advice seriously, or not take our influencers seriously, who seem to think that retirement is so easy. It's such an easy problem to handle, and they claim that you can have a lot of equity after retirement, or you can have a shorter corpus and so on. I strongly disagree with that. Now, most people do not understand that the withdrawal rate is related to the uh, uh, corpus factor. For example, when people say 30x, that means their corpus is 30 times their annual expenses. So if you take the reciprocal of the withdrawal rate, so that is 1 by 3.5%, 1 by 3.5% is 28.6x, and 1 by 4.5% is 22.2x. That means 28.6 times the annual expenses and so on. So if you look at these thumb rules, and most people did not object to it last time, if you look at these thumb rules, if you have a corpus greater than let's say 29x, then you can take some risks. If the corpus is 22x or lower than 22x, then in my opinion, the retiree should not take risks. In between 29x and 22x, that's a gray area as per these thumb rules. Of course, like I said, they're not, there's no great, proof or basis for this. This is based on my experience and the time I've spent analyzing retirement calculations and risk. You may disagree with it. It's up to you. Now, so for people who don't have much of a corpus to play with, when the withdrawal rate is less than 3.5%, where should they invest? RBI floating rate bonds, these have a tenure of 7 years, and they have an interest of 0.35% more than the NSE rate, but it is can be reset every quarter, and the interest is paid out every 6 months. Or the well-known senior citizen savings schemes, also you can get it from the bank. There are post office monthly income schemes, etc. Senior citizens, bank FDs, and so on. These are the safe things where you can invest without taking risk. Of course, you can also buy an annuity plan from the insurer, or you can buy a bond from the RBI retail direct portal. But I'm not talking about the RBI retail direct portal, because it's a very complex portal. Not everybody can easily go there and buy the bonds. Only people who have some understanding can do that. Please do not buy any high interest rate bonds. If you are buying an FD which offers you greater interest rate than SBI, ICICI, or HDFC banks, then there is significant risk in it. Please don't take such risks in retirement. Don't use SWPs, systematic withdrawal plans, from equity mutual funds. They can be very dangerous. Balanced advantage funds, aggressive hybrid funds also are included in this. Don't do that. Any product offering guaranteed income, don't buy. Any people who come and offer you product solicitations, they say this is a great product for a retiree, avoid all that. It's completely unnecessary. Now, this is the slide in which I made that terrible mistake. Now, can I invest in equity mutual funds after retirement? If your withdrawal rate is less than 3.5%, this means you can take risks, and we would recommend 20 to 30% equity only, not more than that. Maybe for some people, maybe 35%, 40%, maybe, but definitely not more than 40%. Unless you have a super duper corpus, very, very large corpus, your withdrawal rate is like 1% or 0.5% or something like that, maybe you can have more equity. There are so many research papers which happily assume retirees holding 50% equity, 70% equity, 60% equity, and so on. It is very easy to do back testing based on such things, but it is very dangerous in real life to hold so much equity after retirement. There are cases where you can hold large corpus where your withdrawal rate is very small. Then that is your corpus is 100x or something like that, then it's okay, but not for everybody. How many people are going to get a 100x corpus? Very few. If your withdrawal rate is in between 3 to 4.5%, 3.5 to 4.5%, a small amount is okay for some people, 10 to 15%, if they have prior experience. Prior experience means seeing market cycles, 1 or 2 market cycles, not saying I invested since the bull run and that's my prior experience. I've been investing in 5 years and I've only seen the bull run. That's not prior experience. Prior, you must have seen both ups and downs. You must understand how much the market can fall, how much the market cannot give returns for years and years. Only if that understanding is there, can you invest a little bit if your withdrawal rate is in between this. And again, if your withdrawal rate is greater than 4.5%, please avoid taking risk. And again, that is our recommendations. How about debt funds? Can I invest in debt funds? Debt funds invest in bonds. Their risk is greater than equity, but sorry, the risk is lower than, excuse me, I don't want to make another video. Risk is lower than equity, but it is higher than bank FDs. It's significantly higher than bank FDs. It will not give you guaranteed returns. It depends on the market demand and supply, just like equity. And if you can handle the risk, if you can understand the risk and then handle the risk, and if you want a little extra return, you can consider funds like Parak Parik Conservative Hybrid. People are always asking me, can I invest in Parak Parik dynamic asset allocation instead of the conservative hybrid? Yes. Again, you should understand the risks, but don't base your decisions only on tax. The risk factor is the most important one. So that's about what I have to say here. And we will talk more about retirement planning in the future sessions. And if you have any questions, please do ask. Thank you.